On this week's episode of You Like That podcast, we'll cover the Vikings giving the Detroit Lions their first win of the NFL season, as well as recap the Week 13 NFL games. Then we'll finish it with a little preview of Thursday Night Football against the Steelers. And, oh, God, I fucked up. Restart. Is it going?
Yeah.
On this week's episode of You Like That podcast, we'll cover the Vikings giving the Lions the first win of their season, recap Week 13 NFL games, as preview Thursday Night Football against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of You Like That podcast. It's not going to be a happy episode, at least to start, because of the fact that the Vikings absolutely pooped on the TV and let us watch. I'm Jackson.
I'm Matt. And yeah, poop on the TV is probably a great way to describe what happened, because that's the way I felt as the game finished. I know the Vikings lose to the Lions more than any other team does. We always seem to drop a game every other year to them. I thought this year would be different. I really did. They almost beat us the first time we played them. Greg Joseph saved us. And then we had them. We had them at the end. We dug ourselves out of a big hole in the second half, and our defense is just way too pathetic to even do anything. Let Jared Goff drive down the field like there was no one even defending anything, and throw a dart right into the end zone. Last play of the game. Wasn't even close to being knocked down. Just wide open in the end zone when we only have like three guys rushing. So yeah, it's a bad loss to the worst team in the NFL at the worst possible time, because we needed this one. We're on the brink of wild card contention. You were given an easy one with the Lions to help you fight your way back into the wild card spot, and you lose it. It's just a bad time to get that loss.
Yeah, and it's becoming exhausting to be a Vikings fan.
Yeah, this year has just been, I know like every year as a Vikings fan is like painful, but I feel like this year more than like any. This is just like depressing.
Yeah, it's just like I said, it's just exhausting. But let's get right into the offense. There was actually a few positives in this game. The offense was not the issue most of the time. First off, yep. Justin Jefferson. I mean, the guy put up 182 yards in a must-win game. So, I mean,
with no second receiving threat.
No.
I mean, Adam Thielen got hurt on like the second play of the game, and everyone says, "Oh yeah, with Adam Thielen out, the defense is just going to focus everything around Justin Jefferson." If the defense focused everything around Justin Jefferson, they've got some issues, because Justin Jefferson goes for 11 catches, 182 yards, and a touchdown, did whatever he wanted to the Lions secondary. I've been thinking this for a couple weeks now, but Justin Jefferson has an argument that he's the best receiver in the NFL.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It's his second year.
Yeah.
He got drafted 18 months ago.
Yeah, it's insane. It's
wild.
The way he can get open on any situation is mind-boggling. It seems like it's super easy, and the defense just forget about him. It's just crazy how good he is. But yeah, I mean,
one thing that stuck out to me was Kirk's ball that he launched down the field. I mean, Justin Jefferson was basically perfectly covered on that play, but when I saw the ball coming down one-on-one, Justin Jefferson with the D-back, I knew he was coming down with the ball.
Yeah.
That's confidence that is very rare to have in a player.
I wish he had it a little more often sometimes, but we move on. But then another good thing that happened this weekend, Alexander Madison and Kene Nwangu really stepped up in Dalvin Cook's absence, who got hurt obviously, but it seemed like they played very well.
Yeah, I mean, Nwangu didn't really do much on the ground. I know we saw him lose yards a couple of times. He had another really good return. I mean, I don't get why teams are still kicking to him. Detroit's kicker didn't have a strong enough leg to get it off the back of the end zone, so it just kept going to him, and he took it up to like the 50-yard line. But yeah, Madison helps the Vikings offense not because he's a great back. He's a solid back, but he makes it so the Vikings don't have to change the way we play offense. He makes it so our game plan is basically the same, no matter if Dalvin's playing, no matter if Madison's starting, which really helps because it allows everyone to stay on the same page and not have to adjust their plans should Dalvin Cook gets hurt, which happens typically a couple times a season. So Madison played fairly well. I think he had like 80 yards on the ground or something in a touchdown.
Yeah.
Helped their offense move there in the second half. But we dug ourselves in a hole. I mean, you can't let the Lions score 20 points in a quarter. And that's what we did. We were up 6-0, and we let them score 20 points in the second quarter, going into halftime 20-6 with the Lions having the ball. That's not a position that many teams come back from. And yes, it's the Lions, so it's a little bit easier, but the offense played great in the second half. They figured their stuff out. They realized this is the Lions defense where our backs against the wall. We need to start taking chances. I don't get how they haven't figured this out earlier in the season because we say it every week. But they started throwing the ball downfield more, started taking more risks. I mean, that's where Justin Jefferson came up huge. And we are able to take risks. This is what's important to me. We're able to play risky football or aggressive offensive football while still running the ball. You can do that while still running the ball. It's not just you can play aggressively, you just get rid of the run. You can do both, mix running in there, mix passing in there, and you can take shots downfield. We figured that balance out in the second half, which helped us come back. Unfortunately, the defense just couldn't hold on for us.
Yeah, so those are the positives. There were a couple of positives, which is, I mean, it's always good, even in a loss, to see what the team can be strong with. But even more importantly, the negatives. Yet again, Clint Kubiak was just not good. His play calls weren't creative at all, and especially on the 2-point conversions. I mean,
yeah,
they went for two. They're playing aggressive, like so many whined and moaned about them wanting to play. And when they are playing aggressive, man, they're playing conservative, running up the middle on 2-point conversions. It's frustrating. And with your pretty much third string, pretty much just special teams guy running up the middle, it just it blows my mind.
0 for 3 on 2-point conversions for the Vikings, which is horrible. And maybe this is a way I like evaluate play callers. Maybe it's just a me thing, but the way I look at play callers and how I see them is what they run for their 2-point conversions. Like if you watch the Chiefs 2-point conversions, I feel like they convert 95% of them because there's just some like weird motions or weird things that happen and they somehow get the ball in the hands of their playmaker and get in the end zone every time, coming based off the creativity of the play call, just creates those touchdown plays. Goal line offense is so important. And our goal line offense, Kubiak was trying to be creative, but it was the most predictable thing ever. Nwangu never plays, and he was lined up at like the tight end spot, basically, a little bit behind. And I knew the second I saw Nwangu lined up there, he was going to come across and we were going to try to hand him the ball. Sure enough, that's exactly what happens. If there's me predicting exactly what's going to happen, me who knows football one thousandth of as much as the defense knows football, they are going to stop that. They are going to see that coming. The next one, we try to run Alexander Madison up the middle. The Vikings have the highest rate in the NFL of getting negative or 0 yards on runs in the entire league. So I mean, that didn't work. And then I can't recall what the other second or the other 2-point conversion was, but that didn't work either. So obviously we got some issues to figure out. Kubiak needs to figure out his goal line offense, needs to get a little bit more creative because those play calls were just pathetic.
Yeah, it's getting embarrassing, that's for sure. I mean, it's so predictable. We see it coming right as soon as they line up. But another thing that just hindered the offense was the offensive line. One, it has injuries, and they shifted everybody. I mean, the only person I think was playing the right position was Garrett Bradbury. Not Garrett Bradbury. I mean, it was Ezra Cleveland and Tyler O'Neill.
But so Mason Cole shifted to right guard. Garrett Bradbury came in at center. He's been sitting the last couple of weeks. Ezra stayed at left guard. Brian O'Neill stayed at right tackle. And Oli Udoh moved over to left tackle. And he false started about 15 times in that game. Thankfully for us, I was watching it the entire game. He definitely false started about 5 times. It only got called twice, but his penalties just killed us.
Yeah, and it's constant. It's always him
every week. I feel like Oli Udoh is on our negatives list every week for his penalties.
Yeah, he's been a definite problem, and it was worse with him at tackle. But probably the worst news of the game was Adam Thielen leaving early to a sprained ankle. And it really changed the dynamic of the game for a little while. I mean, Justin Jefferson still played very well. It just seemed like Kirk didn't trust anybody else. I mean, we know what KJ Osborne has done on occasion. So he's an okay third string wide receiver. He's not good enough to get attention his way away from Justin Jefferson, and that's gonna show this week too.
Yeah, Adam Thielen, high ankle sprain has been diagnosed as. He won't play this week against the Steelers. I highly doubt he'll play next week against the Bears. Maybe he could return after that, but I'm seeing it as a multiple week injury. A high ankle sprain is usually something that doesn't recover in a short period of time. So that obviously hurts. Kirk's been high on KJ Osborne's development and says that he can be a number 2 receiver. He started off the year pretty hot. We haven't used him as much recently. So I'm interested to see how he steps into this number 2 role and how we use him there. But yeah, Adam Thielen hurt definitely doesn't help the offense, especially when we're as limited with injuries as we are right now.
For sure. So that was the offense. I mean, it wasn't the problem. The offense was not the problem. Don't let anybody tell you that. Kirk Cousins drove a game-winning drive. I mean,
really if we kick extra points on all of those touchdowns, we're not worrying about those last drives. Obviously, hindsight's 2020, but we went for 2-point conversions too early. It dug us into a hole, and then we had to keep going for them. We would have won that game. We wouldn't have to worry about the Lions' last drive had we kicked extra points, and the offense would have put up 30 in that one. So you take 30 points from an offense in a game.
Yeah, and that brings to the point, the defense. The defense just wasn't there. It didn't come up clutch at all in that game, especially on that last drive, obviously. A lot of mistakes, really nothing. There was a couple sacks, but that's just because the Lions are bad. So let's just get right into the negatives. Really the only thing about this game, and there's a lot of them.
Yeah, the negatives, first of all, Amon-Ra St. Brown. We know him, but I'm sure a lot of people don't know him. He's a rookie from USC who hasn't had a great year, as any Detroit's Lion receiver have not played well this year because the Lions offense is the worst in the league. We let Amon-Ra St. Brown get 10 catches for 86 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah, it was really bad. I mean, Rashad Breeland is bad every week. We expect him to be bad. He's just bad. It's simple as that. He's just bad. He has horrible attitude.
Brick hands too. Brick hands.
He can't catch anything.
Yeah, I think his coverage has been better in the last couple of weeks, but he can't tackle. First of all, he cannot tackle. and his hands are terrible. He could have clinched the game on the last drive, but he can't catch anything.
Yeah. It just seems, it seems like when we don't have Patrick Peterson, things just don't work as good. But on the other side, Cameron Dantzler was also just horrible in that game too. I mean, obviously he led to the game-winning touchdown, but yeah, it wasn't a good game for really anywhere around the defense. Couldn't cover tight ends. Our linebackers. I mean, we had Anthony Barr out and Eric Kendrick. Eric Kendrick considered one of the best linebackers in the NFL, and him being out really hurts the defense. I mean, Nick Vigil, Troy Dye, Blake Lynch. Those aren't
our
NFL
backup
starters.
linebackers.
Yeah,
we have no depth at linebacker. We saw it last year too when everyone was hurt.
Yeah,
what happened to our run defense when our linebackers were out? Those linebackers suck.
They're bad.
And I blame that. I blame that on Adam Zimmer. I blame that on Zimmer's son, because Zimmer's talked about it before in like previous drafts, how Adam is like clamoring for these guys that are smaller, but they run pretty fast and like can quote unquote cover. They can't cover, and they're so small that they can't tackle. So when they're on the field, they just suck. They have no run defense, and they can't cover.
Yep. I mean, that big example is Troy Dye, the sleeveless, gloveless, weird-looking wonder is just horrible at linebacker. He's really just not good. He's not a good depth linebacker. Everybody was excited for his potential. I don't see any potential. I haven't seen any potential since we drafted him. Yeah, he had a pick six in a preseason game. I think it was tipped though. There's just nothing there, and it doesn't make fans. This is a weird take, but it doesn't make fans like him anymore when he looks the way he does. I mean, not that he's like he could be a good guy. I've never seen
an NFL player like you could tell. Okay, this seems like a weird thing, but you can tell when you look at a player if they're good or not, and no player that ever looks like Troy Dye will ever be good.
And it's weird, but it's true. I mean, it's like Deion Sanders used to say, look good, play good. I mean, you have to have confidence. You can't have confidence out there looking like a punter.
He looks like a skinny punter.
It's bad. I mean, it's weird. Like you said, it's weird nagging on someone for that, but at the same time, your play.
Like if I see that guy on a team that we're playing, I say, okay, go after that guy.
Yeah. But
there's no way that guy can be good.
Yeah, no chance. All in all, I mean, the defense was bad. There's no pass rush, no Everson, no Daniil, zero pass rush. Another position with little depth, and it really didn't matter if we had Michael Pierce and Dalvin Tomlinson back.
It didn't matter that they were allowing or opening gaps for our linebackers to shoot in the run game because our linebackers didn't do anything in the run game. So, like, it doesn't matter how good your nose tackles are when your linebackers suck.
Absolutely.
Zimmer now 30th ranked defense in the entire NFL. No, the defensive whisperer has the horrible defense who can't play in 2 minutes. I think every single 2-minute drill that an offense has had this season, they've scored. And we're in week 13. When you're a defensive coach, you can't have that happen, and you should not have a job in the NFL if that's the case. I think this pretty much cements Zimmer's ending in Minnesota. This game does. That was just a pathetic performance, and I'm embarrassed as a Vikings fan to watch this defense because we played conservative defense at the end. We let them drive down the field, which I understand because they had no timeouts. I understand if you're not letting them get out of bounds. You weren't guarding the boundaries. You let them get 15 yards of play and go out of bounds. So it took at maximum 10 seconds every play, and they're going 15 yards. So, yeah, they're going to have a shot from inside the 20 on the last second to get in. If you guard the boundaries, you get 3 tackles you get 3 tackles inside the lines. Like, the clock's running out. They're going to have to launch a 40-yarder prayer at the end. Instead, we give them a very decent shot at the end zone, a decent chance that might work, and we play it horribly. That drive right there is enough to get Zimmer fired. That was just brutal.
Yeah. All in all, the Vikings lose to in the season of giving, they give the Lions their first win in nearly, I think it was a couple days off of a full calendar year, since the Lions got their last win. And
I would also like to mention the Lions have only scored 20 points in a game one time this season. It was against the 49ers, and it was in garbage time where they did that. So the rest of the season, they have not scored 20 points in a game. They scored 29 against the Vikings defense.
Yeah, just another dagger into Vikings fans' hearts. And we play the Steelers, which we'll get into after we go over the Week 13 games. And let's start with the Cowboys versus the Saints. It was the game of the future Hall of Fame quarterback Taysom Hill.
Yeah, Taysom Hill has always, I feel like people have very different viewpoints on him. Either he sucks at quarterback or he's actually like good. And I mean, he ran for 100 yards in this one. So fantasy owners, Taysom Hill helped you out, even though he threw 4 interceptions.
Yeah, I mean, I remember someone, I think it was a Saints exec. It could be like the assistant GM. I don't know, but somebody said that Lamar Jackson's the poor man's Taysom Hill. It's pretty obvious that Taysom Hill is the poverty man's, the homeless man, the extremely poor man's Lamar Jackson.
Even when Lamar Jackson's bad, which we'll get into in a little bit.
Yeah, but I mean, Taysom Hill, he can't throw any. He's a goddamn running back.
He's got a decent deep ball. I will give him that. His deep ball is solid. Other than that, he is not a quarterback.
No. He's very athletic, obviously. He wouldn't be in the NFL if he wasn't athletic.
Right.
He's a freak athletic. I mean, really.
He runs like a freight train. He's hard to tackle.
I mean, his college highlights speak for themselves. He's very athletic, but man, can he not play quarterback? He can't win games as a quarterback. I think he won a couple as a starter last year. But on the other side of the ball, the Cowboys defense improved this year, and they worked on that. They drafted Micah Parsons. He did revert to linebacker or to defensive line, but I think he's back at linebacker.
He's all over. They play him. They play him everywhere. He's got, I don't know. He has an incredible amount of sacks, and he doesn't even rush the passer on every play. He's been very good in coverage. He does everything for the Cowboys. He's got 10 sacks this season. And he's just been great. I didn't think Parsons was going to be a great player in the NFL. I was wrong. He has been incredible so far, and he has changed the Cowboys defense.
Yeah, he's very, very fun to watch. And we finally get a Hard Knocks rookie darling who turns out. And it looks like he's going to be a pretty good player in the future. Best defensive player on the Cowboys, I could argue, because Trayvon Diggs is a fraud, but I could argue Micah Parsons being the best defensive player on the team. But let's get into the Cardinals versus the Bears, another NFC North opponent. The Cardinals consider one of the best teams in the league, and they did show that against a very bad Bears team. Another 4-pick game. It was
very rarely do you get 2 4-pick games in a week in the NFL. I mean, we got Taysom Hill and Andy Dalton both having 4-pick games. Absolutely brutal.
Yeah, it was really bad.
Very bad. I would say watching the Bears offense, their offense is almost as bad as the Lions offense. The Lions just have a way worse defense. The Cardinals didn't play well and still easily had this game. Like, the Bears are a team that the Vikings play twice at the end of the year because we haven't played them yet. They're a team that we should beat twice, but we'll end up losing one of these, and it's going to suck because the Bears are terrible.
Yeah. Bears are arguably a team that could lose to Lions too. They're just
they play them this week, don't they?
I'm not sure. Maybe, but
maybe it's the Packers. It might be the Packers.
But yeah, I mean the Bears are a bad team. The Cardinals handle them fairly easily. Next game, another kind of poor game. But the Eagles went up against the Jets. Jalen Hurts injured. That means it's Gardner Minshew, everybody's favorite quarterback. If you don't like Gardner Minshew, nobody likes you. Gardner Minshew is so cool, and he played incredible this last week. And it begs the question: is there a quarterback controversy in Philly?
Philly fans are already calling for it. Philly fans
Really?
want Minshew. Yep.
I didn't know that.
Gardner Minshew went 20 for 25, 242 yards and 2 touchdowns. Philly fans are saying Jalen Hurts can't even throw for a 50% completion rate. Every game he just throws for 100 yards and runs for like 80. And they saw Gardner Minshew actually be able to throw the ball accurately, and they put up 33 points. That's not going to happen because Nick Sirianni already said Jalen Hurts is our starter, but there's another quarterback controversy in Philly.
It begs another question though. Could the Jaguars be better than they are now if they stuck with Gardner Minshew and benched Trevor Lawrence?
You have to wonder if it's a Trevor Lawrence issue or it's an Urban Meyer and offensive weapons issue. I mean, the Jaguars have been trash, but we all knew Minshew was a good backup quarterback, a guy that could step in and could win you football games, especially on a roster that's better around him that he had in Jacksonville. So I wasn't surprised when Minshew came out and did this. But yeah, the Eagles have at least another option should Jalen Hurts struggle or get injured again.
Yeah, I mean, and his energy level alone is contagious to the team. But yeah, I mean, on the other side of the ball, the Jets, they have some positive notes over the last couple of weeks. Rookie wide receiver Elijah Moore, I believe he's out of Ole Miss.
Yes, he is.
Rookie, he's been incredible this year. He's been very good. Well, I should say the last couple of weeks, he's really emerged as the number one receiver. And when Corey Davis wasn't what they thought that he was, so they were hoping for his potential to shine, and now he's hurt. So it's the Elijah Moore show.
Elijah Moore he's already taken over as the best wide receiver in New York. He had 12 targets this week, 77 and a touchdown. He had 141 yards the other week against Miami, who's a really good defense. Elijah Moore is going to be a name to watch should he ever find someone to throw it to him. Should Zach Wilson develop or they find someone else. But it's the Jets, so you never know. They could very easily waste his talent.
Yeah, and that's the worry. I mean, if Zach Wilson's the answer, then Elijah Moore could be a top wide receiver one day in this league. It just seems like he's that electric. And I remember A.J. Brown, I believe, hyped up Elijah Moore in this last draft. I do remember that. So, yeah, I mean, people see what he's done. Obviously, had a great career at Ole Miss. And, yeah, so the Jets have something to look forward to. The best rookie on the Jets this year.
He's a really good player. And they're going to have something for years to come and until he leaves for a better team and puts up really big numbers.
Yeah, for sure. The next game, the Colts versus the Texans. This was the biggest shootout of the. The Texans didn't score a point in this game. Jonathan Taylor, another great game. He had 142 yards, 2 touchdowns in the shutout performance by the Colts.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor has a case for MVP. I mean, there's no runaway MVP. Usually we have one every single year. This year, I feel like we don't have that. Lamar's been bad. Mahomes has been, for Mahomes standards, bad. Brady's been really good, but sometimes a little inconsistent. I don't know who else you put up there at top of the MVP list. Jonathan Taylor has been the most consistent of any of those guys. I know MVP doesn't ever go to running backs, but if there's a year where it does, I think this might be the one.
Honestly, I think if any year that Derrick Henry had to be hurt, it would be, I mean, any year that Derrick Henry didn't want to be hurt, it would be this year because he was an MVP vote the last couple years, and there's been a quarterback who's shined and been the obvious choice. So this year, Derrick Henry could have the year, and Jonathan Taylor's taking that one. Yeah, I agree. I have heard like Aaron Rodgers. There's just so many names out there. I
So
mean,
this is pathetic to me. I'm looking at the odds for this, and this actually kind of frustrates me. So the best odds: Tom Brady, next Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers,
oh my God.
Kyler Murray, Patrick Mahomes, Dak Prescott, Matthew Stafford, Lamar Jackson, then Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor has the same exact odds to win MVP as Lamar Jackson, who's been awful.
Yeah, that
makes me so mad. It's a QB award. Like Jonathan Taylor has been the most important player to his team. Like the Colts offense has been good because of Jonathan Taylor. I mean, he's played. Josh Allen hasn't played that great this year. Aaron Rodgers has played well, but not like insanely well. Murray's been out for weeks. Mahomes hasn't been great. Dak's been injured and inconsistent. Matthew Stafford's been inconsistent. Like, there's no reason Jonathan Taylor shouldn't be number 1 or 2 on this list.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's just like the rookie of the year. It's a quarterback award. Any other position's not going to win it. So I hope that changes. I don't think it will. I'm fairly confident unless a bad streak. I think if the Buccaneers win the NFC, I think it's Tom Brady, no matter how he's played, just because it's Tom Brady. But yeah, another disaster week for the Texans. They get shut out in a blowout win for the Colts, keeping that AFC race competitive for a wild card. And yeah, move on to another AFC battle. The Chargers versus the Bengals. Supposed to be a really good game, but it got off to a bad start for the Bengals and fast. I mean, the Chargers were out to a 24-0 lead quick, and they really didn't slow down that much.
Yeah, the 3 most inconsistent teams in the NFL, the Vikings, the Chargers, the Bengals. We get 2 of those teams matching up against each other. Chargers either put up 40 points a week or throw like 2 interceptions and score like 15. This was one of their 40-point weeks. The Bengals are the exact same way. They put up 40 last week. They put up 20 this week. So Chargers come on top here. They take the momentum, and I still don't know what either of these teams are through 13 weeks. They're both 7-5 and both in the AFC wildcard spots right now. But I said, like, these are teams that I still don't know. I don't know what they are.
Yeah, I agree. Chargers kind of dominated the Bengals in this game, but next week the Bengals could go out and blow out who they play. So it's just very confusing. But yeah, the Chargers take down the Bengals. Joe Burrow, another kind of iffy game. I think Joe Mixon got hurt too, so some issues there for Cincinnati. But moving on to the Buccaneers versus the Falcons, a NFC battle. Buccaneers absolutely dominated the Falcons. Tom Brady put up another great game. Kyle Pitts, that's the most important thing in this game that you have written down, and I was thinking about too, is Kyle Pitts has been non-existent for maybe 5 to 6 weeks when he had a stretch where we thought he had rookie of the year. Him and Jamar Chase were going to fight for rookie of the year, and now he's been gone.
Yeah, Kyle Pitts had 2 really big weeks in a row, and you thought he was starting to finally get used more. He looked really good. And I haven't watched any Falcons games since that time, so I don't know if it's a play calling issue, if it's a Matt Ryan issue, if it's a Kyle Pitts not getting open as consistently as we thought he would issue. But yeah, Kyle Pitts has been putting up pretty subpar numbers, especially when you're a tight end drafted that high in the draft. I'm interested to know what's going on with Kyle Pitts with the Falcons right now.
Yeah, the Falcons pretty much are a disaster themselves, and they get their best player, Cordero Patterson, back, and he had another pretty decent performance, I believe. But yeah, the Tom Brady destroys another division rival, and the Buccaneers keep on cruising. Let's move on to the Giants versus the Dolphins. The Dolphins are probably the hottest team in the NFL.
The Dolphins are my Dolphins are my second favorite team. I don't know why. They just turned into my second favorite team for some reason. I love the Dolphins. 5 straight wins.
Yeah. And I was just gonna say, I'm all ready to get my bags packed and hop on the bandwagon here. I mean, they went from 1-7 to 6-7 and into
The
a
Dolphins
playoff
have
fight
the Dolphins have a better record than the Vikings right now.
because they
And
actually
they started 1-7. They've won
yeah.
5 straight. They played, I mean, pretty easy games, but I mean, 5 straight wins is still not easy.
No.
The Dolphins, they've still got a ways to go just with how competitive the AFC is. 7-5 is the last wild card spot right now. So they still basically probably have to win out. But that'd be crazy. Like if they go from 1-7 and finish the year 10-7, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'm okay cheering for the Dolphins the rest of the year if they can sneak into a playoff spot.
Yes.
I know I have the NFC playoff picture pretty memorized just because being a Vikings fan in and out of it.
Yeah.
The AFC I'm a little unfamiliar with, but I'm sure they could sneak in if they keep rolling out some wins here. But yeah, the Dolphins stay hot against a struggling Giants team who they had Daniel Jones, the quarterback, hurt, and then Mike Glennon got hurt. So Jake Fromm will be the starter, I think, this week. I don't know if you remember Jake Fromm, but he was a Georgia quarterback who was supposed to go in the first round and pretty much fell off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
Since that.
Yeah. He was like really good his freshman year and then like never improved. And then
Spencer Rattler. Moving on to the Jaguars versus the Rams. The Rams played the Jaguars, so they get their offense back on track. OBJ had one of his best games as a team. I shouldn't say OBJ, but the Rams just looked very good, but OBJ played another good game. It seems like he was a little bit happier. We actually got to see him celebrate in the end zone. We haven't been able to see that for quite a while. But yeah, the Rams look good again. They did play the Jaguars, so I don't know how much to read into that.
I don't know. The Rams had a couple off weeks. I just thought they're kind of fluky. I think they're going to find themselves toward the end of the year, going into the playoffs here, because they are a good team. They do have a lot of talent on their roster. So I mean, they scored 37 points against the Jaguars here. I think they're going to keep this going through the rest of the year. Next game, we got football team Raiders, a game that Vikings fans had their eye on due to playoff implications there with Washington. Very bad game. Washington keeps finding ways to win these games. Heineke, I mean, they only scored 17 points, and the Raiders aren't that great, but the football team comes away with a win. Not good for us, but I think they're 6-6 now, holding on to that last NFC wildcard spot. So the Vikings have to catch up to. They're one of the teams the Vikings would have to catch up to should we win out or possibly lose one game.
Yeah. I don't trust the football team just as much as I don't trust the Raiders. So yeah, it wasn't really a very fun game to watch by any means. I still am very skeptical about the football team.
Yeah, we'll see. Chase Young's obviously out for the year. Montez Sweat has also been out for a while. He was supposed to come back this week, but got COVID. So they'll have to wait another week on him. Next, we got an AFC North matchup, Ravens-Steelers. I'm waiting for the Ravens just to have their blow-up game like they typically do at like a noon game or something, and they haven't. Lamar Jackson usually has games where he runs for like 100 yards, throws for like 4 touchdowns to Mark Andrews. They have not had that game really this year. And they played the Steelers, and it did not happen again. The Ravens have just been bad.
Yeah, so the Ravens defense hasn't been good, and it hasn't been good for a while, but Lamar Jackson was carrying that team for such a long time, and he's not doing that now.
No.
He doesn't look good. He looks like the quarterback that people were afraid that he was going to be.
Yeah, when he doesn't have a competent back next to him, and his offensive line isn't as good as it has been. We expected some struggles, and they're definitely coming. He threw 4 interceptions last week, didn't play well this week. So obviously the Ravens need to find their groove. Big Ben has announced this week that Big Ben has been telling people that this is his last season, which we kind of expected and hoped for because we don't want to watch another season of Big Ben. But we play him this week. It'll be the last time, most likely the last time the Vikings will face off against Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah, for sure. Get to see him tomorrow, and it's going to be interesting. The Vikings should just be able to bring a little bit of pressure and be able to Yeah, that's the thing.
Keyword should.
Yeah. Next game, 49ers versus the Seahawks. Kind of a surprise final here. The Seahawks have struggled very bad lately. They just haven't looked good at all this season, really. But they came back and they beat the 49ers.
I've been waiting for this bounce back game from the Seahawks, and I've been predicting it every single week. This week, I did not predict it, and of course, that's when it comes. The Seahawks played pretty well. Adrian Peterson finds the end zone despite having 11 carries for 16 yards. The Seahawks win, helps the Vikings out. The Niners, obviously competing for a playoff spot, lose a game to a inferior team, so helps us out. I found funny. I don't know if you saw it after the game, Nick Bosa's press conference. He started complaining about the refs. And if you don't remember George Kittle's comment last week when Mike Zimmer complained about the refs, George Kittle told Mike Zimmer to tell your players to make better plays. And then Nick Bosa comes out to the media this week and says that the refs were really bad, and everyone was just roasting him, telling him to make better plays.
Yeah, what an idiot. But yeah, that was just a odd game. The 49ers can be included into that inconsistent team list. But yeah, Seahawks take that division rival down, and the 49ers are in kind of a similar situation as us, fighting for a wild card spot.
Yep.
Next game, we got Broncos and Chiefs. Broncos.
So Broncos head coach Vic Fangio, former Chicago Bears D coordinator, head coach of the Broncos now. The Broncos have just become the Chicago Bears. A great defense, arguably one of the best defenses in the league, with an offense that can do absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Teddy Bridgewater looks really, really, really bad.
What happened? He's throwing like interception after interception.
Yeah, not protecting the ball. The running backs just don't look as good. I mean, Javonte Williams doesn't look horrible, but he doesn't look like a man.
No. Javonte Williams looks good. He had a big week.
Really?
Melvin Ingram was hurt this week. So Javonte Williams got the bulk share of the work. He was the only bright spot of that game. He ran for 102 yards and had 6 receptions for 76 yards and a touchdown. So he had almost 200 yards from scrimmage and a touchdown.
So they really are the Bears. They have a running back who runs the offense.
Yeah, the running back that runs the offense, and the rest doesn't do anything else.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, the Broncos. They're going to be held by as good as their defense is going to be, and
they held Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce both under 30 yards. When has that ever happened?
Yeah.
That's incredible. Chiefs only score 22 points in this one, despite the Broncos not being able to move the ball. The Broncos got weapons on offense too, so I can pretty much place all this blame on Teddy Bridgewater right now, because they have the defense, they have the weapons on offense. They're just not doing it. I don't know if their offensive line sucks or what's happening over there, but at least they have potential, which is a bright spot for their team. Last game of the week. Bills Patriots. The wind was 50 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's absolutely crazy.
Somehow that game was like fun to watch. There is so much wind that the game was fun to watch. Mac Jones only threw the ball 3 times in the entire game. That's less than a pass per quarter. The Patriots still win.
Yeah, I didn't catch really any of this game. But yeah, I mean, whenever a guy throws 3 times, it's hard to imagine that it's fun to watch, but apparently it was.
The opening kickoff, the wind was with it. It went like deep into the stands.
Oh, I did see that. That's pretty crazy. I saw the pregame kicks too go like a good 60 yards to the right.
They were into
the stands, but
the wind was crazy.
3 times though, that's just insane. I think he had 1 throw in the first half and then 2 incomplete in the second half or something.
Yep.
Mind-boggling that you can
win a football game with 3 throws. It's
crazy how the Bills just could not stop the run. The Bills are very inconsistent too. They are not good against good teams, it seems.
Yeah, they struggled this week. Obviously, the strength of their offense was taken away with the win. They're not a running team, so the weather favored New England here. But yeah, they didn't. They still didn't look very good. That'll wrap it up. Week 13 games. This podcast is going to be released on Thursday, so the Vikings play tonight against the Pittsburgh Steelers, our first Thursday night game of the year, our second primetime game of the year. We'll start with the Vikings offense. They coming off a good second half against the Detroit Lions. Where can we exploit the Pittsburgh Steelers defense at home?
Well, they let up a lot of points, first off, and the Vikings, I like to think, have a good fan base that can disrupt an offense, and when the offense the defense, excuse me,
you're going to be there, right?
I am going to be there.
So the fan base better be loud enough to stop your offense.
I will personally come up to every Vikings fans that's sitting down while the Vikings defense is on the field. But we're talking about the Steelers defense. My bad. The Steelers defense is not good. I mean, the last 2 weeks, 82 points you have written down here against the Bengals and the Chargers.
This last week they played the Ravens, only allowed 19. But the previous 2 weeks before that, they played the Bengals and the Chargers, and they allowed 82 points in those two games combined.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, if you think about their secondary, they allow giant plays, and it starts with Mika Fitzpatrick, who they trade a first-round pick, and he's been just not good at all.
He was good right after they traded for him, but something happened to him this year where he just has not been good.
Yeah, it's just odd. And the other thing, they allow a lot of run. They're not a good run defense. You have now 4.8 yards per carry, which is good enough for worse in the league. They're just not a good defense, and that's what's killed them this year. Their flaws are surprisingly with Big Ben, they're mostly on defense. So yeah.
Where they could struggle, this is the only area that their defense is good, which is why their defense is still getting hyped up. They lead the NFL in sacks. So that's obviously something that's very scary, especially against Kirk Cousins, who's not the most mobile quarterback, and their offensive line isn't the best offensive line. So that's where we can struggle. If the Pittsburgh Steelers get sacks, they get sack fumbles, they get forces to turn it over. But if their Steelers aren't getting sacks, if we can shut down their pass rush, we should be able to have a very good day on offense.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, TJ Watt's the biggest threat on that defense. But yeah, the defense just all around is not really that good. They have a good pass rush. They have some experienced guys on that line, but their secondary is where they struggle. Their linebackers, Devin Bush, his 5th year wasn't picked up. He's just not the player who they were hoping to be. I thought Devin Bush was going to be super good too, but he's just not turned out that way.
Yeah, so our offense obviously going against for the most part, pretty weak Steelers defense. We'll move into our defense. Where can we exploit the Steelers offense this week?
Well, Ben Roethlisberger, Big Ben, cannot move in the pocket I don't know if he's ever been able to really move, but he's been able to get out of the pocket and be able to create plays by himself. But now he can't move. When he moves, we've seen the viral video. If he tries to move east to west, he goes on the ground tripping on his own feet. So, I mean, Big Ben is not a mobile quarterback. He's probably the most immobile quarterback in the NFL right now.
No, definitely the most immobile quarterback.
Yeah.
If he tries to run, he trips on himself.
Yeah, and our pass rush, yes, it's been limited and not that good, but we still got a couple sacks against the Lions offensive line, which I think is better than the Steelers offensive line.
They had Taylor Decker back. He didn't play the first time he played the Lions.
And first round pick.
Penei Sewell was able to move back to right tackle where he practiced the entire year and played the entire year. So
just put pressure on Big Ben. I mean, he's a check down king this year, and he tries to throw the ball deep. So if you put pressure on him, he's going to check it down more than ever. And that's the other thing. You have to shut down Deontay Johnson deep, because that's what he's best at. He's a very good deep ball wide receiver. He's just a very good wide receiver. He's very underrated.
I feel like he has I would say the most underrated receiver in the NFL. Yeah. He consistently gets 8 catches a week. He's there.
Yeah.
best receiver. They haven't used Claypool much. Deontay Johnson's obviously Big Ben's favorite target.
Yeah, and that's the other thing I was going to say. I mean, Chase Claypool and when Juju is healthy, they're worse, but overshadow him for popularity because of their antics. But Deontay Johnson's much better wide receiver than both of them. And yeah, I mean, you just have to help. You have to shut him down. I think they have Patrick Peterson back this week, so I hope
Pat
beyond
Pete's back.
Johnson. And then Najee Harris. If Big Ben starts to be checked down, Najee Harris is going to be the guy who's going to be get those. I mean, that guy is dangerous when he has the ball in his hands. And I think our defensive line should be able to stop the run, but I don't know. I mean, but you got to stop Najee Harris from everything that he does.
Yeah, Najee Harris is a really good back. Thankfully, their offensive line can't run block, and we've seen that for the past couple of years. So his yards per carry isn't great. We have Michael Pierce back. We have Devin Tomlinson back. I saw a crazy stat today. Should everything go as planned right now, Anthony Barr, Eric Kendricks, Dalvin Tomlinson, and Michael Pierce will play together for the first time all season. Those four guys haven't played together all year.
Wow, that's
insane.
Unluckiness. But yeah. So yeah, Steelers offense, it's had its limitations, but it's definitely the strong suit in the Steelers team. When they get things going, they're okay. I mean, Najee Harris has been really, really good this year as a rookie. And Deontay Johnson, as we said, is a very, very good wide receiver. But where can we struggle in that? Pretty much that's it. Najee Harris and Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, those are easily their best offensive players, players that can wreck games. Thankfully, the Steelers' defense hasn't been good due to their quarterback sucking. But it's obviously we've lost to teams that have sucked this year. So no game's an easy game.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll move in to our Week 14 picks. Our Week 13 results. Jackson once again took the lead after I came back from a 2-point deficit. He takes another 2-point lead. 2 more picks right than me this week. So week 14, there was 5 NFL weeks remaining, which is crazy how fast this season has gone. The season is winding down. It's very depressing to think about, even though it's been painful as a Vikings fan. But week 14 NFL picks. We don't pick the Vikings game. So we'll start with the Sunday games. Saints, Jets.
I got the Saints in that game. Pretty easy to think about.
Yeah, the Saints have been terrible, but the Jets have been worse. I think although Taysom Hill is bad, I think he's an upgrade over Trevor Siemian. So I think they can pretty much keep it on the ground. I don't know if Kamara might play this week, so that would obviously be a boost to them too. 49ers, Bengals.
I have the Bengals in this game. Bounce back game. They've been inconsistent, but it seems like they bounce back fairly well. So, Bengals.
Yeah, I got the 49ers in this one, which starting to second guess myself here because Elijah Mitchell didn't practice today.
Ooh.
Deebo Samuel might be back, so he's a running back as well.
True.
I'm gonna go with 49ers.
Okay.
Falcons, Panthers.
I got Falcons in this game. Panthers are I just don't think they're that good.
Yeah, the Panthers have been outside of their hot start. They've been one of the worst teams in the NFL. They just fired their offensive coordinator, Joe Brady. Although I hate the Falcons and think they're trash, I also think they win. Seahawks, Texans.
Seahawks, it's going to be a nice offensive day to get people thinking the Seahawks are back.
Yeah, they can be back, but they have no chance at the playoffs at this point. Seahawks take care of the Texans, and the Texans reinforce why I still think they're the worst team in the league last week, and I think they're going to continue to do that. Yeah. Raiders, Chiefs.
I have Chiefs. They've been winning lately. It seems like they're back, and they're kind of gunning for a first place AFC finish.
Yeah, I feel like the Raiders give the Chiefs a run for their money like once a year, but I don't think they have that firepower in them right now. I got the Chiefs as well. Ravens, Browns.
Well, I have the Ravens. I'm a little skeptical of this game. I'm just going to go with the favorite here. I do think the Browns have a chance just in a divisional game and with the way Lamar's playing.
Yeah, I keep thinking it's a bounce back game for the Ravens, and it hasn't been yet. Once I pick against them, it will happen, but I have the Ravens this week too.
Yep.
Cowboys football team.
I think the Cowboys win this divisional game. People are talking about how Washington maybe could come back and win the NFC East, but the Cowboys aren't going to like that.
No,
without a win
chance.
here.
Yeah. Washington's been on a hot streak lately, but I think they're due for a big loss here, and I think it comes against the Cowboys. Jaguars Titans.
I have the Titans here. Jaguars are just a bad team.
I was very, very, very tempted to pick the Jaguars here, but the Titans already lost to the Jaguars, right?
Yeah.
So they won't happen twice. So I took the Titans.
Yeah.
Giants Chargers.
Chargers. They came back, or they beat the Bengals pretty enforcedly, and I think they're going to do the same to the Giants.
I'm taking the Giants.
Oh,
Chargers missing Keenan Allen, went on the COVID list. Just announced Mike Williams has also gone onto the COVID list.
Oh, wow.
So their number one receiver this week is Jalen Guyton. I think the Chargers are going to struggle with their two main options on offense. They really only have Austin Eckler that they actually use now. So I'm taking the Giants.
Could be a big day for Eckler, though, for fantasy owners. Yeah.
Lions Broncos.
I got the Broncos. I can't see the Lions winning another game this year. Maybe against the Bears, but I just can't see it.
I have the Broncos. Their defense is so good. The Lions, I say they're gonna have one win. I can see it now. They're gonna have one win, and it's gonna be against the Vikings, and everyone's gonna make fun of us because we're the one that ruined it for everyone. So the Broncos are gonna win it. Bills Bucks.
I have the Buccaneers here. I just don't trust the Bills against good teams.
I don't trust the Bills either, because of how inconsistent they've been. I just think that this is a week that they figure it out. It's really a coin toss. I mean, the Bills are either really, really good or really, really bad. I think this could be a week. The Bucs defense isn't that great, hasn't been that great, so I'm taking the Bills. Sunday Night Football. This is the game we've all been waiting for. Bears Packers. I'd like you to know before you make your pick that Matt Nagy has just announced that Aaron Rodgers saying "I own you" to the Bears last game has been made bulletin board material for the Chicago Bears this week.
Oh, well, in that case, I'm going to take the Packers to win fairly largely in Green Bay.
I'm also taking the Packers. I'm sure Matt Nagy bulletin board material does not motivate anyone.
No.
And Bears players understand that Aaron Rodgers does in fact own them.
Yeah, I think everybody knows that. I'm just happy that Aaron Rodgers doesn't hate the Vikings. I know he sure doesn't like us because we've injured him and we've beaten him a number of times, but I just happy he doesn't come to our fans and say that he owns us yet.
Yeah, that would break us.
Yeah.
Monday Night Football, the best game of the week in my opinion. NFC West matchup, two playoff teams, Rams Cardinals.
I'm gonna go Cardinals here. I admit it. I was a Rams believer, and I still kind of am. But the Cardinals haven't given me a reason why I shouldn't pick them here.
I have the Rams. I think this game might have 70 points scored in it. Hopefully, that'd be really fun to watch. I feel like we haven't had one of those games on prime time.
No, we haven't
in a while. But so. I've taken Rams in this one. I think they're finding their groove and divisional matchup. Kyler Murray is only a week off of injury. So Rams, I have them to beat the Cardinals.
Yeah.
All right. We'll leave everyone with our Vikings Steelers score predictions and our hot take. Give me your score prediction first.
I got 24-20 Vikings, another close one, another nail biter. We don't blow teams out. And no matter, I do think the Vikings are slightly better than the Steelers. I do think the better quarterback will win. And I'm thinking it's going to be Kirk.
I have the Vikings winning 26-19. I think maybe I'm dumb for thinking this. I think our defense steps up after last week. I think they figure things out a little bit. And like you said, it's always going to be a one-score game. So 26-19,
Yeah.
Vikings. We hold on to get our 6th win of the season.
Yeah.
Give me your hot take.
Oh boy, this is I don't know if it's hot or not. To me, it's really hot because I don't see him getting very much involved, but I also could see him getting very much involved. But KJ Osborne going over 80 yards receiving.
Yeah, I feel like it's unlikely.
Yeah.
There's a chance of it, obviously, because he's the number 2 receiver. So I feel like my hot take isn't like insanely spicy either. It's something that we don't ever do, but it's not super out of the ordinary. I have the Vikings forcing 3 turnovers against the Steelers. Hopefully that's enough to make us win. But we obviously have a knack for not scoring off turnovers this year. So we'll see.
Yeah.
That'll wrap it up. We both have the Vikings predicted to win on Thursday Night Football. Hopefully we're correct. Hopefully we can get this win against Big Ben. And that'll wrap it up. Thanks everyone for listening. And as always,
you like that.